Hey, Shelley, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women Conquer Business. I'm Jen McFarland, joined by Shelley Carney. This week, we are talking about marketing campaign ideas that help you get traction. And I'm excited to talk about this. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say that we're pre recording this because we didn't have a show last week because I was coughing a lot, and hopefully, I won't cough a lot now. And tomorrow I am training a group at the time that we usually have the show come out. So we can't do a live recording, but we definitely want to make sure that we got something out to everybody. So,
That's
hi,
right. That's right.
we're
'Cause,
here.
we're all excited to hear about marketing campaigns that work.
I know there's so much to that, but what have you got going on right now?
Oh, let's see. It's been a busy day. We had a live show today where we decided to make. We were going to. We have a 1 o'clock show on Wednesdays. We decided to change that to a 7 in the evening show, and so starting next week, our show is going to go to 7 p.m. We had a larger audience today because our Saturday show has been generating more excitement, more traffic, more people showing up, and they're looking forward to us being on in the evenings. So that happened. And then this evening, I have a podcast interview with Vince Warnock, who's in New Zealand. So that'll be fun.
Oh
Looking forward
wow.
to that. It's just been a lot of busyness going on.
A lot of go, go, go. Yeah, I just got off of a podcast interview with the Launch Squad. It was with, Katie and Jeffrey over at the Launch Squad. I've known Katie Collins for about 5 years, and she was on my show years ago, and she wanted to have me on, and it was really fun. It was a good time, and I think that's coming out on Monday. Do you know when this interview is going to come out? Sometimes you don't know when podcast interviews are
Oh,
released.
gosh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
He'll tell me
sometimes.
after when I
Yeah.
talk to him tonight.
That'll be awesome. Do you know what's the topic?
Oh, he'll talk about, I'm sure, creating content with me, because that's my forte, and, then, he always asks every guest for 3 tips that will help entrepreneurs to move the needle in their business, so that's what we'll hit on.
Nice, some hot tips. So we'll definitely put a link to that interview somewhere when we in show notes when you say, "Hey, it's gone live."
Yeah,
So how exciting is that?
yeah.
I really had fun. It's been a while since I've been on a show as an interview, so I'm excited to be on a show
Mhm.
and do that. I also was like, I'm really gearing up to officially announce. I know that I've been talking about it on the podcast for a while. The new Women Conquer Business website. It's actually been live for a couple weeks now, I guess. But like really, getting the email list in there, getting some of the final things set up, talking to some other people who are experts in this platform to figure out how to really maximize it and make the experience really good for people, and getting all of that lined up. So I'm very excited about that. And if you haven't gone to womenconquerbiz.com, definitely go check that out because it's a unique experience. It's a cool website. I'm really happy with it. Lightning fast, very responsive, and you can find the podcast there.
Ooh, yeah, everything's there, and it looks
Everything's
good.
there. But yeah, not a lot. I've mostly been continuing to recover from a concussion, which the brain fog and it's a lot of eye problems and that have been going on. It's starting to get a little better, and then of course I got the flu. So like I feel somewhat like everything is just kind of, if one thing doesn't hit, then the other does. So I'm hoping to really come out of that,
Mhm.
and I know that you've had a lot going on over with your life too. Has anything kind of eased up a little bit?
Well, Kevin is nearly done with, he finished his chemo, he's got 3 more radiation treatments, and then he's done with that, and then we spoke with our financial advisor on Monday about retirement and, what we need in place for that, and he's, working the numbers, so hopefully my husband should be able to retire sometime in the middle of June, if all goes well. Um,
Awesome.
Toby and I also did a proposal for our financial advisor because he's thinking of doing a podcast or a live cast like we do and doing interviews with people. And so we are working on that as a project and kind of want to work with him the way I work with you, where we handle the production and he handles bringing in people and business and sponsors, so that he
Yeah.
takes care of that half and we take care of the production half. And then we work together to grow a business. So that's where we're headed with that.
Wow, that's like super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Do you have anything on the breaking news front?
No.
No? I read that Google is going to start cracking down on AI content,
Hmm.
which I think is very exciting. So, for
In
those of
what
you who
way?
don't know, there are a lot of platforms out there like I guess one of them is Jasper AI, PepperType, a lot of these like AI writers, right? So you
Mhm.
give it like a topic and then they generate like long form blog posts. And I have tested a lot of them. Most of the time, if you do any sort of long form blogging with AI, it's a gobbledygook,
Mhm.
and it does have a lot of the keywords and the terms in it, but it's not useful to the
Right.
reader. So
Right.
it's not good blog content. And but the AI is getting more and more sophisticated. So a lot of people have been using this as just they're kind of like keyword stuffed websites that just have like all this stuff that just isn't very useful. So they figured out a way to um knock that down and keep it from ranking, and that should be coming out in the next, whenever Google decides to do it. You never know when they update things.
Mhm.
So I think that that's a pretty big break in the right direction for people who create content, because computers are never going to take over good content. I'm sorry, like it's just never going to happen. AI is going to get more and more sophisticated. AI is never going to replace a human entirely. It's just not possible. Good writing, good marketing is never going to be replaced by AI. You can use tools like Lately, which is really great for like, helping you generate blog posts and things like that. It's never going to replace it all the way. Um, that is pretty much, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on in marketing. But I found that's the thing that like popped into my head and is pretty interesting to me, that Google continues to learn. The other thing that's interesting on the privacy front, is that people are not happy with what Google is doing, in terms of how they're going to replace Google Analytics, Google Analytics 4. People don't like cookies. Cookies are basically little bits of code that get downloaded onto your computer, and that's why you see an ad like on 75 different websites if you see it once. So you go to buy shoes and you see it 100 times everywhere.
Mhm.
That's from cookies. They're like tracking you and things like that.
Yeah.
Google said they were going to stop doing cookies, and then they've never replaced it with anything. They wanted to replace it with these like affinity groups, and people freaked out. Um, Nobody really knows how they're going to be tracking people. But in the EU, they are facing a lot of lawsuits because they're not complying with the privacy laws over in Europe. And it's just going to continue to get ugly and hairy.
Mhm.
So let's keep an eye on that and see what's happening. I think the thing that people don't realize is that just because you use Google Analytics for like a small sliver of data, you're still sending all of this information to Google and they're using all of it for everything. So it's important to kind of bear that in mind, that everything is data mined, probably your email, everything, and it's leading to this profile of who you are. And they're trying to serve better content to you through that. So, as much as we can cheer Google on the AI front, you also have to always be aware of some of the other privacy issues that is also going on at the same time.
Yeah. There's that two-sided coin, and convenience is the thing that keeps dragging us over to the. Yeah, I don't care if they know everything. I just like convenience.
I know, I know. It's hard. It's like that's the same thing that I feel with Siri on on my iPhone, or
Mhm,
some of the Amazon stuff,
mhm.
having like going to my mom's house, it was really nice to be able to be like, play meditation music, and Amazon just does it.
Right.
Um, but then at my house, we don't do that. So, you know,
Interesting.
because my mom's like, I don't care. I have nothing to hide. Amazon can know everything about me. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't have anything to hide. I just don't want Amazon to know everything.
Yep. There's a fine line. You
Yeah.
gotta just make that decision for yourself. Speaking of Google, Toby and I we did a fill out our application this last week for the Google Podcast Creator Program, that they are choosing 6 teams to, offer them training and money and sponsorship and mentorship and all of this to
Yeah.
help you grow your podcast into a business, that makes money, a livable income. So we applied for that, and we talked about that on our show, this week, that what was involved in the whole process, and we learned a lot about ourselves and our vision and what we want for our podcast. So even if we don't get chosen, we got that much out of it, that we nailed down a lot of our, um, we're on the same page with where we're going and what we're doing, and now we're just like, are we sure? It's kind of funny. Yeah, we
Yeah.
nailed it down, we know our vision, and then let's get started on it. So yeah, that was kind of cool that we got that
It's
accomplished.
exciting. And you were talking, I think you did a LinkedIn article, and I think you talked about it a little bit too.
Mhm,
I'm sure you talked about it on your show and then in your newsletter about, how the fear and the vulnerability around like putting your stake in the ground. And
mm,
I think that that's the thing, right? Like when you have to actually say, this is what I'm doing and these are my goals, and like somebody else actually sees it. So it's no longer like this aspirational thing you're keeping over in the corner.
mhm.
Like that's a whole different ball of wax. It's a whole new kettle of fish, whatever you want to say. Like when you're showing it to somebody else, it's like a really vulnerable time, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, most people, it's okay to show them stuff because they forget about it the next day or whatever anyways. But then I do have 1 or 2 friends that if you tell them, "I'm gonna do this, and I have this in mind, and I want this is my goal," the very next time you talk to them, and it could be 6 months to a year later, they'll check in with you. "How's that goal going? Are how are you doing on that?" And you're like, "Oh, did I tell you about that?" "Oh, it's okay."
It's coming along. It's all just coming along.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's something about putting your stake in the ground on some things that really it kinda shakes you a little bit,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And then you have to come up with ways to make it happen.
Yes. That's the magical part.
That's right. Speaking of ways to make things happen, uh,
Yes, marketing campaign ideas that actually work. So, when we last got together, we talked about marketing campaigns a little bit, as I recall, like what marketing
yes,
campaigns are,
they are.
um, maybe even some beginner steps that you can take, to get going on your marketing campaign. Am I right? Am I remembering this right?
Yes. Mhm.
This is why we have shows every week,
Yeah.
folks, so we don't forget what we
That's right.
talked about.
We did. We outlined what they were and, you know, where you would need to be to get to this campaign. What is a campaign and what are some examples of campaigns? So campaigns are the second half of creating content. Now you need to do something with that content. So if you have a course,
Right,
you need to launch that course. You need to maybe you want to have a webinar that leads people into buying that course or that piece of software or whatever it is that you have. You have to have something to announce it, and
right.
that's your campaign.
And you need to have, some goals and some key performance indicators so you know if the campaign has been successful, and you need to pick your channels and all of that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a lot to putting together a marketing campaign that needs to be considered and thought about. And then after the show, I was like, well, what do we talk about next? And And Shelley said, "Well, I think we need to talk about what actually works." And I was like, "What?"
Well, I said, "What do
You
you do?
know, like,
What
what do you
kind
do?
of
Like, I
email
wanna know what
actually
actually
works?"
works, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've given that a lot of thought, and I did some research, and then I forgot what I was gonna say, and we've been kinda going back and forth with, like, recording the show in advance and stuff. So it's there's a lot that goes into marketing campaign ideas that actually work, how you're actually going to get traction, like having like a big summit or a big course launch. These are things that people talk about a lot, and a lot of people try it and they're like, well, that didn't work, and or having like a challenge, or some of these different ways that you see kind of on the internet all the time, and they do work. But there's kind of a prerequisite that has to be there in order for that marketing campaign idea to happen. So what that means is, if you have a list and you're trying to sell, a course or something, you need to understand that your email list, maybe only 1% of that list is going to buy from you. So you have to understand that when you put a lot of energy into a big launch, there's a prerequisite. You can't do a big launch without an audience. You probably don't have a list without an audience. And
Mhm.
so sometimes getting traction around ideas that actually work have to be done in kind of an order of operations. Like, that's fundamentally the type of marketing that I choose, is like pushing the right buttons at the right time so that it fits in just the right way. So that's why one of the reasons that you need to have an email list from the beginning, if you want to, say, do launches or things like that. If you're a content creator and you have a blog, like, your first thing is to set up like campaigns around sharing your blog. Like, something really simple. A lot of people are like, "Well, I wrote this blog and, like, I shared it and nobody read it." I was like, "Well, no, you have to share it more than once." Like, you can't just share it one time. You have to get it out there to people over and over again so that they can know what you're doing, and you have to email your list, and you have to work on some things around discoverability, search engine optimization. There's a lot of elements around visibility, and getting some things out there. So um, all of which is to say, when we talk about marketing campaign ideas that grow your business, help you get traction, um, if you try something and it doesn't work, the answer, the default can't be, "I'm never going to do that again," or "that tactic doesn't work." It could be, what is missing from the equation that would have made this more successful. Like, and now that said, there are some harebrained ideas out there that just aren't really going to work, but a typical launch, a product launch or a summit, things where you want to attract a lot of people, knowing that not very many people are going to buy, understand that, if you don't have, say, a big email list, you may have to run ads. You may have to put some money into things so that you can bring people in to buy your product. And things like challenges or um, complicated funnels and launches, they may not work as well if you don't have like that initial audience to really bring people in. That's not to discourage you. It just is to say that marketing campaigns that work are very much aligned with the stage of your business, the budget you have, the goals that you have, whatever it is that you need to do, um, to get that audience, to get your product in front of people, to make the sale. I took a really interesting SEO class, and yesterday, I think, and it was really interesting because I'd never heard SEO taught this way. It was click-minded. His name was Tommy Griffith or Griffith, I think. Anyway, but he was talking about how, like, because we know that people search for different things based on their intent. Like, you're looking for something, like, you just want to know, like, what's a marketing campaign? Like, you're not looking to buy a marketing campaign. You just want to learn about it. So you might want to find a blog post about like marketing campaigns. If I'm selling I'm going to build marketing campaigns, like that's a whole different type of search term that you're looking for, right? And it's the same thing when you're building out your own marketing campaign. You have to have like awareness of like the funnel and like that you need something to bring people in to learn more about you. You need to nurture that person, and then they have to be willing to buy and understand that like it's a funnel, it's not a pipe. Meaning not everybody comes in the top and buys out the bottom. You've got to people self-select in and out. So all of which is to say that you know, part of what makes marketing campaigns good are things like awareness, having an audience, having an email list, having having a healthy network and pipeline and group of people who are your supporters, or people who are paying attention to what it is that you're doing. So the marketing ideas that help you get traction, if you don't have all of those things, are the marketing campaigns that help you get those things so that then you can gain some momentum. So if you don't have an audience, well, then start working on marketing campaigns that increase brand awareness. Work on doing things that bring more people to see who you are and what you do. That's like brand awareness. That can be different types of calls to action to get people to join your email list. Then you nurture them on your email list, and then you ultimately sell to them. And then as your list grows, the marketing campaigns that you use to gain traction will evolve and change as you go.
Okay. I get that. It's a basically your stage of the funnel. So at the top of the funnel, maybe you have a blog post or a social media post because that's awareness. People are just finding out about you and that you're what kind of business you are and what you do. And then maybe they might hear you on a podcast and they get to know you better and they
Mhm.
get to understand how you work and some of your values. And then they might see you on a video and then they get to know you even more and perhaps they'll follow through on your call to action, which then is further into the funnel, which could become then your challenge or your webinar or bringing them in to work with you in like in a Zoom call or something or a group coaching situation. So you just the type of media that you're using could be at different levels of the funnel. You're starting off with a blog or a social media post, going to a podcast, going to a video, and then going to challenges or webinars. So
Yeah.
depending on what stage you're trying to augment the most, I guess.
Yeah, and you can do all different kinds of things to increase awareness. You can have events. Like during the pandemic, I was with a group of people and we were hosting all kinds of networking events. These were great list builders, these were great ways of getting to know new people. You'd have meetings offline. There's all different kinds of ways that you can like get the word out, engage in activities that help grow your list, that help people get to know you, that ultimately could end up as customers or people who are your allies and colleagues that you trust and can work with. And so it is kind of about being really creative and finding the things that you like to do. Like some people like have no desire to do networking ever, or they don't really like to do webinars. Well, then you've got to find something else. You got to find a way that you can get people to know who you are. I tend to do a lot with video, with podcasting, with writing. I really like to write a lot. And those are the different ways that I do it, but you can't just rely on search engine optimization and do it that way. You've got to also augment it with like actually talking to humans and meeting people, because search engine optimization takes a while and it takes a lot of work. It's not just necessarily like, oh, done, I did it. It takes a long time for those things to bear fruit.
Mm.
And so sometimes you need to diversify. It's kind of like when people say, well, I post a few things on social, like it just doesn't work. And it's like, well, let's look at what you've been doing, and why is it not working? Um, is it really true? One of the things that people fail to do is have the patience that it takes to really follow through with something and see if it's working or not. We tend to cut things off like right before they're going to be successful, and I think we've all done it. I think everybody has a different time where they've kind of given up on something right when it's on the cusp of being something really great.
Well, we don't ever think that we are. That's why we leave.
Yeah, that's why we quit. Yeah,
Never gonna work.
it's never going to work.
For the dawn.
Um, and you've built a community. We were talking about it before the show started. Like,
Mhm.
what it takes to build a community in one context, and what you're doing now is building another community in the context of your business. And so it's about taking all of these experiences. When we talk about the marketing campaigns ideas that actually work, it's about drawing on our experiences and what it is that's worked in the past so that we can continue to build on that.
That's right. As Jen mentioned, community building, we had a large community, almost 7,000 people on our YouTube channel when we were talking about the force bin treasure hunt. Well, that was the extent and probably the cap of how many people we were ever going to reach, because that's all the people in the world that we're interested in that particular thing. So something that I learned from that is, if you're going to build a community, then you should have access and interest to at least 1 million people who have that same interest. If you have less than than that, then it's just not going to grow beyond like 7,000, and then as soon as you stop talking about that, they leave. So for a community to have potential, you need that 1 million or more members who are interested in that topic. They have that common interest. They should also have a desire for information, education, entertainment, and community support. They should want to be a part of your community because they have that desire. And they also need a pain point or two that you can solve for them. So if, for instance, when we were building that community, a lot of them, they couldn't talk to their family members or friends about it because they didn't have any interest in it, and the particular person was very obsessed with it. So they wanted to talk to somebody who was also rather obsessed with this same thing. That was their pain point, and we solved that for them by bringing them all together so they could speak to each other about what was of great interest to them.
Right.
And that can be the one thing that builds a community, is that driving interest, and nobody around you has that same interest. So you have to go find people who have that interest.
Absolutely. And you also, some of the things that you've learned that you're now translating into your business is like your people prefer to talk in the evening. So it also is about like coming up with that flexibility around like what's working,
Mhm.
and being flexible around what that means so that you can be there in that moment that your community is ready and willing to engage. So that's the thing about marketing campaign ideas that get you traction, is oftentimes it's really about testing and finding what it is that's working and being willing to be flexible and test, and ask people what they need. Like, that's one of the things that's really impressed me about what it is that you and Toby have been doing lately, is you've been going out and you're like, okay, well, what is it that you want? How can we best serve you? What is it that you're looking for? Hey, we're available on Saturday evenings. We're going to talk about different things. Oh, okay. Evenings are better for you. Okay, so we're going to start talking on Wednesday evenings. Okay. And that's what it takes. Like when we talk about, I can't tell you how many business owners I talk to who are like, well, that 5-day challenge thing, that just didn't work. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, let's talk about why it didn't work. There has to be that second piece of reflection so that we know that's good information then that we can take so that we can like make some changes and formulate what will work the next time.
Yeah. I've
Um,
tried challenges, and it seems like you do need to have a large pretty large audience in order to get just a handful of people who will opt in for that challenge.
Yeah, and then they have to do it, and then, I mean, there's, like those are a lot of work. There's
Yeah.
a reason I've never done a challenge,
Yeah. Well,
you
now
know?
I heard somebody today on a podcast, and they were talking about that they had flipped it around. Instead of doing a challenge and then inviting people into a membership after the challenge, they brought people into the membership, and then they gave them the challenge. That was the beginning of the membership. Is
Mhm.
okay, now we're gonna do this challenge together, and that got them to dive deeply into the membership right off the bat. So that worked much better.
See, and I believe that it would work better because you're bringing people in and they're hungry, like, they're excited, they just joined this membership, now they want something to do, like, "Give me something
Yeah.
to do."
Yeah.
The problem that a lot of people have with a challenge is they're, like, drowned out on social media, like, there's so many challenges,
It's true.
on social media, there's so many people trying to do things, and, you know, there's people like me who don't wanna be distracted by that much social media, having to tune in to a challenge every day, but put me in an isolated group that I'm excited about, I'm more likely to do it.
Yeah.
And I think, I've already bought in, like if I'm in the group, I've already bought in to what it is that you're doing. So I do think that there is an art to, I always say that marketing is an art and a science, and you kind of have to use both. And this is one of the cases when we talk about things that actually work. This is the thing where, that I say with a lot of marketing is, what is it that you're willing to do? What is it that you like to do? And then what are you willing to like test and play with a little bit? And when I work with people, I'm always willing to play and like kind of be creative and brainstorm stuff. Um, but you also have to be willing to look at the things that didn't work from a fresh set of eyes so that you can um, deconstruct that. And then you also have to be willing to look at the things that did work and say, okay, how do I reimagine that? If I can't redo the exact same thing, how do I reimagine that so that I can catch that lightning in a bottle again?
Yeah.
And I think that that's important. Like that's what I really love about, the fact that that you can build community, like in your case. So now you're taking that and moving it into this business context, and then you're showing that like flexibility and care for the community that I think will really serve you in growing your community and your group in this new way.
Yeah, we've been really looking at our analytics a lot lately, trying to luckily, YouTube's given us these new things to look at, where we can see what people are looking for, what are they searching for, what are the search terms they're using, why are they landing in our channel, what are they looking for, so we can answer that need. And I think that's really helpful. Unfortunately, it's only been available at this point to people, with at least 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully they'll make it available to everybody at some point, because I think the people who are just starting out need it more than anybody. But looking at those analytics and saying, okay, people seem to want us to be online at this time. This is when they're online. This is when they're looking at our videos. And this is the videos they're looking at. And this is why, this is what they want to see more of. And then, kind of blend that with what's trending and what you know about and what you like to talk about. And it's quite the mixture of
Yeah.
put it all together and then you have a show.
Yeah, that's kind of the frustrating thing about YouTube is, you can't do a lot until you have more, but then you don't know what you need to do in order to get more.
That's right.
Like so many views and so many subscribers and, like right
Well,
now
the
I
one
feel
thing
like
you
I'm
can control is how much content you put out. So if you feel like I'm just not getting any traction, then up your content contributions to it. How much more can I do? Can I do another video? Can I put out some shorts? What more can I do? Because that's where you have the control. You don't have control
yeah,
really over who's going to show up and who's going to watch. All you can
no.
control is what content you put out and how often.
I mean, I think the real question is how much Jen does the world really need on YouTube?
As much as you can get, right?
But yeah, no, I mean, all of these are like super valid points. And, so I guess I ask you, Shelley, like, if I answered the question, like, what are the marketing campaign ideas that actually work? Have we answered that?
I think that you said, you started out by saying one of the things that I thought was really important, and that's at the stage of business that you're at, or how many people do you have in your network and in your audience? If
Mhm.
that's small, then what you need to work on is building that audience, building your visibility. And I believe that that's content creation, and just stepping it up on content creation, and getting it out there and getting it out there. And then once each quarter you take another look. How much have I grown? Do we think I'm big enough now to, put out some sort of an email challenge or whatever it is that you decide, but try things.
Yeah.
And then every quarter, try something else. If that didn't
Mhm.
work, try something else. If it did work, try it again. Do it better, so every quarter. And so consistency is a big part of that, right? So you have your content creation and your campaigns, but consistency brings that all together.
Yeah, I think that, and when I look at content creation, I mean, I think we have slightly different lenses for content creation because I'm not in the same business as you. So like to me content creation includes like how you're getting brand awareness out there on social media. Content creation includes email marketing. Content creation includes, are you being consistent what you're talking about when you meet people on the street and drawing them in? And then it also speaks to all of the things that Shelley is also talking about in terms of, if you're doing a podcast, if you're doing a blog, if you're, whatever it is that you're doing to create and put it into the world, which is something that both Shelley and I are really passionate about. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a podcast and a blog, So, but be doing that with intentionality, and I couldn't agree more. Like about like taking a quarterly review and seeing, how things are going, and then like how you have to tweak it. I think that, you and I have been doing this now for about a quarter, and we need to probably do the same thing, look at what
Mhm.
it is that we're doing. Um, I think things have been going pretty well. I think reining me in on the planning side sometimes has probably been a big challenge for you. And we need to tweak that and tighten that up a little bit. But I do think that, we are growing and we are getting people to come and listen more, and just need to like keep at it,
That's right.
and that's how this works.
That's right. Yeah, every quarter you should take a look at what worked, what didn't, what should we do more of, what should we do less of? Winging it maybe a little less, when planning a little more. I don't know. We'll see what we go with, what works.
No, we do need to wing it a little less. I'm used to freestyling on the podcast. So
Yeah,
we're trying to plan more, and I think it's turning into a much better product than uh at least what I had before. Sometimes the sometimes the shows were maybe not as good as what we've been putting out. So um yeah,
practice,
but
practice,
it's
practice.
just refining it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you have a CTA for us?
A call to action. I know. I would really love if people would go to the Women Conquer Business website,
Mhm.
take a test drive on that. Let me know what you think. If there's anything missing, if there's anything that you're looking for, that would be great. Hit up the podcast pages. Subscribe to the new Marketing Missive newsletter that is coming out every Sunday morning and is really just actionable marketing stuff you can do. We'll also have, of course, information about the podcast as it's released so that you can also catch up on the podcast episodes if you missed anything. And yeah, that's my big thing right now is getting people excited about this new landing spot that I've created for anybody who engages with the content um, that I'm creating and that Shelley's creating.
That's right. It's beautiful. Go there, get it, see it, do it, sign up, do all the things.
What
Women
about
Conquer
you?
Biz.
You want to share more about like your framework and how you help people?
Well, I think the best thing to do is check out our YouTube channel, Messages and Methods. And we have so much information there. Just scan through the videos, see what tickles your fancy. What do you need? What kind of information would be helpful to you? Look at those videos, find something that you like. And if you want to dive in deeper, if you want to dive in deeper to that funnel, then, all of our information is on all of our videos. So just check that out on YouTube, Messages and Methods.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's right. So I got a tweak of the week.
What do you have? You've got one.
I got one. So I don't know how many of you are on YouTube, but if you aren't, you should be. And if you are on YouTube, you should get the Chrome extension. If you use Chrome, I use Chrome extension called VidIQ, VidIQ, VidIQ. Sign in with your YouTube channel. And it starts off free. If you want to upgrade and get more and more features, you can do that, but it starts off free. And in the free version, even, you can see that they have tabs across the top. You go into the tab that says Daily Ideas. And according to the information that you have on your channel and what kind of videos you have and what kind of, keywords it's finding, it will tell you, here's a daily idea. It will give you 3 daily ideas every day. You can go in there, and that's free. If you want more ideas, you'd have to pay to upgrade. But 3 ideas a day, and you can look at it and you can go, oh, these are good. This is a good idea. This fits with my channel. Click on it, and then it'll show you the top videos that are out there and how many views they have, how many subscribers they have, and what the video was called. And it gives you all this information. So it starts sparking ideas. So if you're running out of ideas for content, what should I talk about? I think I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face. What else can I talk about? That's a really great place. So go to vidIQ, add it to your Chrome if you have Chrome, and then open up that daily ideas every day. Take a look at what they're offering you, see what videos are being shown, and this is going to really help you understand your competition better and what's already out there and what's already doing well and what people are looking for. So I highly recommend it.
That's really cool. I didn't know about that. I've heard of vidIQ, of course, but I didn't know about the daily ideas. So
yeah,
it's really cool. I don't have any tweaks of the week.
Okay.
Week.
Got any inspiration for us then?
I do. So I do the daily calm. I'm on the Calm app. And today's daily calm was a reflection on sharing love with others. And I thought that was really great because it was about, sending love and joy to other people. And I think that, too often when we think of inspirational stuff, it's how can I be inspired? And I think it's really important that we also inspire others and share and send the love that we have to an appreciation. And it was about sending out like wanting people to have well-being and love and joy in their life. And I just felt like we need more of that, where we're sending that out into the world and wishing other people goodness and light.
That's right. Yeah, my kids used to sing a song when they were in elementary school. Love is like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, and you'll have so many that roll all over the floor. So the more you give, the more love you get. And the more love you send out, the more you feel it in yourself. It just grows. So it is one of those interesting things that seems backwards. It's like there's more and more. Every time you give more away, you have more.
That's right.
It's awesome. Very good.
Yeah. So sending everyone love and light.
That's right. So I think that's all we have for today.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll be back again next week. And hopefully we'll get together on some planning for what we're going to talk about.
Because we don't have a show. Yeah. We don't have a tidbit about what we're going to talk about next.
We're going to be in the month of May. Going to be having my 38th anniversary on the 4th.
Oh, wow. How exciting.
And keep track. It's hard to keep track after so many years. But yeah, looking forward to next week and a wonderful weekend.
Yeah. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you for joining the Women Conquer Business podcast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Jen McFarland. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question regarding your most challenging content creation or business problem. Then share this podcast with family and friends so they can find the support they need to expand their brand and share their message with the world. Check the show notes for links to valuable resources and come back again next week.